Acrophilia, Acrophilia. Acrophilia, acro, meaning highest point, and philia, meaning attachment to, refers to a person who is sexually aroused by heights. Skydiving and bungee cord jumping are high-altitude activities that elevate one's adrenaline. This excitement can then be transferred to passion and sex. Both of these activities include a form of bondage, vertigo, and suspension. S&M partners who suffer from acrophobia are sometimes blindfolded and made to climb ladders. If this is done, often the phobia seems to dissipate, and along with it, the sexual charge it first produced. Another popular form of acrophilia is having sex at high altitude. This is humorously referred to as becoming a member of the Mile High Club and is done in airplanes or other aircraft. Conversely, one wonders if there is a Mile Low Club for submarines. There was a group of pilots in New York that had their own version of a Mile High Club. The requirements were that the pilot and passenger... I'm sorry it's late, and, well, even mistresses get scratchy throats after 3 a.m. Anyway, there was a group of pilots in New York that had their own version of a Mile High Club. The requirements were that the pilot and passenger went up in an open cockpit biplane, and when they reached an altitude of 6,500 feet, the passenger would disrobe, climb out on the wing, and into the back seat, returning to the front seat after having sex with the pilot, all without falling off the wing. Aerobatics can be sexually arousing for a few people. Stunts in small planes offer 4 to 5 negative G-forces and 3-4 positive Gs. Okay, some man out there's going to have to explain how I was supposed to say that. These affect the pilot, or a woman. I'm sorry, I know there are women pilots. Excuse me, I'm not trying to be all distracted by that bullshit right now. These affect the body by pushing the blood into either the head or the lower body and result in feelings of lightheadedness, floating, or sinking, depending on the maneuver. There's a tremendous adrenaline rush and a simultaneous sense of power over the airplane and submission to it. The feeling of being bound is greater in stunt flying than with other sports because the belts have to hold both body weight and shoot through every maneuver. There are very few sensations that compare with hanging upside down while one's weight pulls them towards the glass bubble that separates the pilot from the rapidly approaching ground. This feat provides enough sexual stimulation to cause at least one female pilot to experience spontaneous orgasm. Finally, there are people who claim to have been captured by creatures from outer space, which I guess would be an other space from our space, which isn't exactly an inner space, but once again, distracted by that bullshit, and impregnated while aboard flying saucers. Their stories have provided many with sexual fantasy, one that is acted out with the aid of readily available space costumes. See also agoraphilia, claustrophilia, fantasy play, phobophilia, and suspensions. I wonder how many of those things I've done before, or at least might consider doing. Again, acrophilia,